Originally, due to the political turmoil and other domestic challenges as well, it was widely expected that South Korea would probably be cutting it quite close towards the deadline anyway, at least compared to some of the other economies that were negotiating. So in that sense, it being delayed compared to some of the other players isn't necessarily seen as a bad thing. Now, in terms of the quote-unquote snub, it's not also something that is confirmed that they won't get a trade deal. It could just be amping up the pressure as the deadline comes close, trying to get as much of a concession that the U.S. administration can out of the Korean side.
What do you think is really the leverage here for South Korea? I mean, just like the EU, South Korea cannot be making $600 billion of investment in the U.S. or $500 billion US dollars like Japan, can it?
Right. So the key here is really likely going to be shipbuilding. Korea has a comparative advantage in that. But it's not just about that. It's also about what are the other tools that the authorities have that they can offer right now. South Korea originally, even before this year, is one of the bigger trading partners with the U.S. just because of the free trade agreement that they have. Tariff barriers are already effectively at 0% because of that free trade agreement. Out of all of the other economies that have a free trade agreement with the U.S., South Korea is investing the highest amount, at least last year. So in that sense, there is probably only a few things that they can get creative about to offer some leverage, at least ahead of the other economies.
You know, since you mentioned the shipbuilding, Adam, I was actually listening to this Korea market watcher. I mean, he's a veteran in a South Korean market, and I saw some merits in his own argument that South Korea needs to position itself as the TSMC for some of these major critical sectors like semiconductors, ships, and pharma for the United States, because it cannot be creating big tech AI companies like the U.S. does, because the South Koreans don't really have the creative genes. What do you say to that?
Well, I don't necessarily know about creative genes or not, but I think it is a good idea to take a look at what kind of comparative advantage they can bring to the table, at least relatively conveniently compared to its other partners. And definitely shipbuilding will be one of them. Semiconductors, of course, is another one of them, but there are some differences and nuances there, especially because of Taiwan's position as well.
Yeah, and let's talk about where South Korea stands in terms of non-tariff elements here. And of course, if you take a look at the U.S. report, like the list of stuff that Washington wants to fix with in terms of trading with South Korea, it's really about the non-tariff and auto access for American cars. Those are the usual suspects. Do you think that's what Washington is pushing for at the moment? Is there anything that we're not paying attention to?
I think perhaps one other aspect other than automobiles would be agriculture items. One of the only remaining items, at least in the previous Korea-US Free Trade Agreement, have been certain agricultural products. We've also seen on social media how it was counted as a win when US exporters were able to export beef to Australia, for example, as well. So I do think that not Australian, but agricultural products is probably something on the list that the US administration is looking out for as well.